Hello guys, what's up? So friends, today I am going to start our 9th class Ncert Polity, and so far we have completed our 6th, 7th and 8th classes of Polity. And so here our chapter 1 is here, what is democracy and why democracy, and in its contents there are 5 chapters there. Second is constitutional design, third electoral politics, fourth working of institutions, and fifth democratic rights. So let's start, friends. So first of all, in this chapter it is saying about the democratic governments and non-democratic governments. So first of all, we can discuss about what is the democracy. Okay, democracy means it is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. So friends, we know that the peoples are electing the democrats through elections. In a democracy, the final decision making power must rest with those elected by the people. So it is saying that in a democracy, the final decision making power is in the hands of the representatives. Those representatives are selected by or elected by the people of our country. The Chinese parliament is known as National People's Congress, and it also conducting elections in each of 5 years. A democracy must be based on a free and fair election where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. So it is saying that after elections there is a chance of losing the position of current ruling parties or ruling government, because through elections the people have a chance to elect their own favorite representatives, so that these representatives can rule or govern the country in an effective manner. So the people actively participate in the process of government. A democracy become more effective. In a democracy, each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value. So each votes of every citizens of our country have one value for each. And a democratic government rules within limits set by constitutional laws and citizens' rights. So it is saying that there are, as per the constitution, there are certain constitutional laws and citizens' rights are there, so that a democratic government rules within the limits set by these constitutional laws and citizens' rights. And the next features of democracy. So some of the features are here. First is rule of law, and next respect for rights, then one person, one vote, one value, then free and fair electoral competition, then comes major decisions by elected leaders. So friends, the features of democracy include rule of law, respect for rights, one person, one vote, one value, free and fair electoral competition, and major decisions by elected leaders. A democratic government is a better government because it is a more accountable form of government. When compared with a non-democratic government, a democratic government is more better because it is a more accountable form of government. Then a democracy is based on consultation and discussions. Democracy improves the quality on decision making. So friends, in a democracy there are certain consultations and discussions are there, and the representatives are involved in certain decision makings, so that this will lead to the implementation of policies or actions in our society, so that a democracy improves the quality on decision making also. Democracy provides a method to deal with differences and conflicts, so that a certain conflicts and differences are there, so that through a democracy, a method through which these differences and conflicts can be dealt with. Democracy enhances the dignity of citizens. Okay, through a democracy, it is possible to enhance the dignity of all the citizens. In the previous classes, we have discussed that through the discriminations or inequalities, there is a loss of dignity of people is happening, so that through democracy we can enhance the dignity of all the people. Democracy allows us to correct its own mistakes. So it is mainly through the elections the people can remove the corruption of full parties or government, and they can elect more powerful or more efficient representatives. So it is saying that democracy allows us to correct its own mistakes. Either the rulers have to change their decisions, or the rulers can be changed. So we can correct the mistakes made by the rulers by either by removing the rulers, by removing or changing the decisions made by the rulers. This cannot happen in a non-democratic government. So friends, in a non-democratic government, the peoples haven't any much participation or involvement just as democratic government, so that the final decisions most of the time is in the hands of a single ruler or a single a single ruler or a non-democrat. Then two types of constituencies are there: assembly constituency and parliamentary constituency. So it is a point. And other forms of government includes monarchy, dictatorship, or a one party rule. Okay, so far we have discussed about democratic government and non-democratic governments. So these types of the non-democratic governments include monarchy or dictatorship, that is one party rule. Okay, so in these types of rule, there is not a requirement of people or citizens to take part in politics. The democracy depends on active political participation by all the citizens. So in a democracy, there is always an active participation of all the citizens. So it's all about a chapter. You can just go through these pictures. So democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Then some of the arguments against democracy is there. These arguments against democracy include: leaders keep changing in a democracy. This leads to instability. Okay, we know after elections in 5 years, so the leaders kept changing, so that this leads to some instabilities. For example, if a government is there and that government is going to initiate a big scheme, and after that a selection is taking place, and after the election a new ruling party is taking the rule, then at that times sometimes that big scheme or decision may be not completely effectively implemented. Okay, so that these changes of leaders may leads to some types of instabilities. And democracy is all about political competition and power play. There is no scope for morality. So we know there are political parties are there, so political competition is there. So sometimes this is not in a free and fair manner, so that there is some types of power playing is only there, so that it is saying that there is no scope for morality. So many people have to be consulted in a democracy that it leads to delays. So in a democracy, a lot of peoples are there, or representatives are there. So the election of these all representatives may take some delays, and so it may also lead to some instabilities in a democracy. Then elected leaders do not know the best interest of the people. It leads to bad decisions. So most of the time the elected leaders do not know what is the interest of the people, so it may leads to the bad decisions. Then democracy leads to corruption, for it is based on, so friends, democracy leads to corruption, for it is based on electoral competition. Ordinary people don't know what is good for them. They should not decide anything. So most of the ordinary people in India are not much aware about what good is for them, and what is the policy most suitable for them, so that they can't make any better decisions, so that it also makes some of the instabilities. These are the arguments against democracy, and some arguments for democracy are there. And broader meaning of democracy is here. Okay. Yeah, friends. So finally we have completed a chapter. So carefully go through these videos 2 to 3 times, then only you can grasp the facts I have said to you. Okay, friends. Thank you for kind listening. Have a nice day.